Good morning, boys and girls. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, and today we're going to be doing lesson 20 for our math. Before we get started, remember that we have to do our do now. So today is Wednesday again, so this is the part of our do now that we're going to be completing. Make sure you press pause and you time yourself. You can go ahead and begin your do now. Alright guys, now that you're done with your do now, we're going to continue with our notes for today's lesson. So today again we are going to be doing lesson 20. The objective for today is the student will be able to use coordinate systems to solve real world problems. Our key points are going to remain the same from Monday's lesson, which is number 1, we're going to be reading the graph. Number 2, we're going to be adding missing information. And for number 3, we are going to be solving. So again, at this moment, go ahead and pause the video and write the objective and the key points for today's lesson. Alright guys, for today's lesson, for lesson 20, it's actually going to be a little bit different than the other lessons. Today, we're actually going to be doing problem number 1 together. So right now, what I want you to do is get your books out. If you don't have them, if you need to press pause on the video, press pause. So today, instead of Ms. Rodriguez just doing a lesson over lesson 20 or a mini lesson, we're actually going to be doing it during our problem set for problem number 1. So again, at this moment, go ahead and grab your book. Alright, now that you have your book, we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, we're going to be doing lesson 20 and problem number 1. And let's just remember that we need to be following our key points. Alright, so I'm going to read the problem. It says, the line graph below tracks the total tomato production for one tomato plant. The total tomato production is plotted at the end of each of 8 weeks. Use the information in the graph to answer the questions that follow. So again, our first key point is reading our graph. So before we even look at our questions, we're going to be looking at our graph and making sure we understand all the information that is being given to us. So, for example, we already know that it's talking about total tomato production, and we can see our x-axis and our y-axis. Our x is our weeks. It's going to tell us the information about the weeks. And then our y is our tomato production in pounds. Now, our second key point is to make sure we add anything that is missing. So in the bottom, we can see we're counting by ones, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we can see that there's something missing in the middle. We already know it's pretty much half, or 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5. I would suggest you can write it. The only thing is that I know it is a little bit small. So if you're not able to, but at least we kind of know, maybe you can only write the first 3. But we kind of already know what's in the middle of the numbers. And then on our y-axis, if you can see, we're counting by 5s. Every unit is 5, or every unit that is actually labeled. So we can go ahead and label the rest. We start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we just continue working our way up until we get to 11. Alright, we pretty much added information, and then now actually we're ready to move on to key point 3, which is reading and solving. So we're going to begin with letter A, It says, how many pounds of tomatoes? So we're looking at the pounds. How many pounds of tomatoes did the plant produce at the end of 13 weeks? So be very careful, boys and girls, when you are reading these questions, because one word can throw you off. Here it's asking at the end of 13 weeks. So at the end, we know these are our weeks. At the end of 13 weeks, how many pounds, we know that our y is our pounds, how many pounds did the plant produce? And if we look at our y, we know it produced 10 pounds. So for letter A, we know our answer would be 10 pounds. And again, this was very easy and very simple to analyze. We just needed to make sure we read carefully So we know what we're looking for. We knew we were looking for 13 weeks. So automatically we didn't have to look at these numbers. We just had to go straight to 13 and look for our answer in the graph. Now let's go to letter B, How many pounds, again, we're looking at the pounds, of tomatoes did this plant produce from week 7 to week 11? Explain how you know. Again, the explanation will vary, but let's think about this. If we know I'm only looking for week 7 to week 11, so I'm going to look at my week 7 and week 11. Now this is asking how many pounds did the plant produce between that time? Think about that. It's between, from 7. So it's like, in other words, instead of starting here, it's like we're starting from here all the way to 11. So we know that at 7 weeks, how many pounds of tomatoes did they produce? 3. So let's write down our information that we know already. So week 7 was 3 pounds. Now we need to know week 11. Week 11, if we look at it, it was at 9 pounds. So week 11. Now it's asking how many pounds did they produce in between. So remember, this is kind of a problem similar that we had on Monday. Think about this. If I want to know how many is in between, what do I need to do? Yes, we have to subtract. We're going to subtract 9 pounds minus 3 pounds because I want to know the difference. I want to know what's in between. And we already know that it's going to be 6 pounds. 6 pounds is what was produced between week 7 and week 11. For letter C, it says, which 1 week period showed the greatest change? Circle that, that's important. In tomato production, the least. Explain how you know. So think about that, boys and girls. Which one showed the greatest? Let's do one at a time. First, let's think about the greatest. How can we find that? Just by looking at our line graph. If we analyze our graph, we can see from 6 to 7, it pretty much grew from here all the way here, right? And then from 7 to 8, another little line. So we can see the little increments. Here we see a big increase. Then here a little one, and a little one. So we pretty much see one big, I think this is our biggest, our greatest. And this one is from week 9 to week 10. So again, it's asking which 1 week period. It's asking about the week. So we know that a big increase was from week 9 all the way to week 10. This is where we see a big jump just by looking at the line. So our greatest is going to be week 9 to 10 is our greatest. How do we know that, boys and girls? Everyone can explain it differently, but the way Ms. Rodriguez is going to do it to explain is pretty much what I mentioned right now. We can see a big increase in our line from week 9 to week 10. And it's actually our biggest increase from all the dots that are on our graph, all the plots. Then we're going to focus now on the least. Let's think about the least. This means if right now I was looking for a big increase, now I'm looking for one that's not that big. So just by looking at your line graph, which one do you think is the smallest, the least? This one can also be very tricky because right now we were focusing on the increasement of the line, of how long it increased. And all of them are increasing, but we actually see one that's steady. It means it's stable. That means during that week, it did not grow. Let's see if you all can locate it. If you see between week 11 and week 12, was there an increase here? No. We see that from week 11 to week 12, it remained the same. So if it remained the same, it pretty much means it didn't grow. So that would be our least. So our least would be week 11 to 12. And we're going to label that as our least. And again, what could our explanation be? Is that all the other ones, yes, they're increasing very little, but that's the one that actually did not increase at all. It remained the same. Now we're going to go on to our last one, letter D. So look at this one. This one, it says, during week 6-8, Jason fed the tomato plant just water. So we know that between 6 and 8 weeks, they only gave them water. Then during week 8-10, he used a mixture of water and fertilizer A. So water and fertilizer A. So I'm going to begin by making my little list so I know what's going on and I can understand all my information. So during week 6 and 8, so I'm going to first write my week. Week 6 through 8, he used just water. So I'm going to do water. Okay. During weeks 8-10, so week 8 through 10, he used a mixture of water and fertilizer A. I'm going to write FA for fertilizer A. Now, I'm going to move on to continue reading. And in weeks 10 to 13, he used water and fertilizer B on the tomato plant. So weeks 10 through 13, he used water and fertilizer B. So for fertilizer B, I'm going to do FB. So I don't have to write the whole thing. Then it's asking, compare the tomato production for these periods of time. So we're going to compare. That means now we actually have to get the data for these weeks. So let's begin with week 6 through 8, where it was just water. So on week 6, we were right in between 1 and 2. So we know that's maybe 1.5. So let's do 1.5. And it grew all the way to week 8. We are at right in the middle of 3 and 4. So 3.5. So if you think about this, from 1.5, it went to 3.5. So how much did it grow? 2 pounds, right? Because you would find the difference. From 1.5 all the way to 3.5 is 2. So that's 2 pounds. So from week 6 to week 8 with just water, there was a 2-pound increase. Now let's look at week 8 through 10. At 8, it started at 3.5. But by week 10, we were at, it's right in the middle of 8 and 9, 8.5. So now let's do the same thing. What's the difference? Yes, 5 pounds. 5 pounds using water and fertilizer A for weeks 8 through 10. Now let's look at week 10 through 13. 10, we were at 8.5. At 13, we were right at 10. So what do we see there? What's our difference? From 8.5 to 10, how much did it increase? Yes, it increased 1.5 pounds. So for this one, guys, we're just going to compare. What are some of the things just based on the information that you can tell me? Some of the observations I see, if I compare this information, is definitely that water and fertilizer A was what benefited the most because they had a 5-pound increase when they used water and fertilizer A. It helped them increase a lot more than with the other ones. And actually mixing water and fertilizer B was actually the least one because that's the one that gave them the least increase. So those are just two of the things that I noticed based on the information that I was able to gather and that I was able to compare from this graph. So now, boys and girls, that we did our problem set number 1, what I want you to do is you are going to do on your own, you're going to do number 2 from your problem set. This is the one you are going to submit along with your exit ticket. So again, you're going to be doing your problem set number 2, but I also want you to submit your exit ticket for lesson 20. Alright, so again, just remember to submit problem 2, exit ticket today. Again, this, boys and girls, the answer is pretty much in the graph. All you need to do is make sure you are reading it, you are analyzing the information, and most importantly, making sure that you are reading the question correctly, because again, one word can throw you off. If you have any questions, just go ahead and message me and I'll be more than happy to help you all. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you, guys.